Welcome to the final region in our Himalayan webinar series, module 24, the enchanting Parvati Valley. As usual, we are live on Zoom every morning at 8 o'clock, and videos are posted on Insta TV, YouTube, Facebook, and my blog, ultrajourneys.org. Here we can see the beautiful Parvati Valley from high above, the Chandrakhani Pass, which connects Kulu Valley near Manali to the Parvati Valley. This is a typical site, misty, cloudy, foggy, indulged valley, which is the perfect setting to grow ganja here shown below. This is a picture taken just above Malana. Okay, so today we're going to do a beautiful traverse starting from Kulu over three lower passes, the Chandrakhani, the Russell, and the Sar Pass, into the Parvati Valley, and from there we'll take two bigger passes, the Pin Parvati towards Spiti, and then from Spiti, the town of Mat, we get over the Pin Baba Pass to Kinnaur. Here you can see August 2018, fresh snow on top of the Pin Parvati Pass, connecting the lush green Parvati Valley in Kulu with the barren high altitude desert of Spiti, Himachal. Okay, so let's start with the lower Parvati Valley here. We can see the Parvati River here flowing from the Pin high ranges. And we have three passes, the Chandrakhani Pass, which connects the Bees River Valley, the Kulu Valley, comes to Malana. From Malana, again, it's a side valley actually joining the Parvati Valley, but we cross over to another pass, the Russell Pass, to the village of Kassel. And from Kassel, we climb up to the beautiful Sar Pass, giving stunning views on the Parvati Valley below, which before getting down again near the village of Pulga. Okay, so let's take a peek maybe first in Google Earth. So here we're looking at Himachal. That's a lot to look at, I guess. Here we're looking at Himachal. We have the Dolador here. We had the Great Himalayan National Park in between. Here we have the Manali, the Kulu Manali Valley with the Parvati Valley, like a long side valley, draining the high ranges of the Pin National Park. And then here on the right side, we have the Shuffle River Valley. So putting my reference points again, voila. So if we reduce the angle a bit here, voila. Here we can see that Parvati Valley joining at Buntar in the Kulu Valley, below Kulu actually. So from somewhere, I think 20 kilometers below Manali, we can cross over through beautiful forest range over the Chandrakhani Pass towards the well-known village of Malana. Beautiful side valley also from Parvati Valley, from where we climb up a less documented pass, the Russell Pass, to the settlement of Russell, to eventually get down in the touristic valley near the town of Kassel. From Kassel again, we can come through a beautiful forested area to the remote village of Graham before we head to the upper meadows here. This ridge is the Sar Pass, from where we cross over to the Bikeri Slide ridge and then get down steeply again to Pulga. Pulga, which is located on the confluence of the Tosh River Valley, beautiful valley still to be explored, eventually leading to the Lahore section. And the right one, the Parvati Valley, which goes through the hot springs of Irganga, and then a long 4,000-meter high valley going deep inside to Mantalai, a beautiful lake and temple here, from where we climb up across the Pin Parvati Pass, 5,300-meter altitude glacier, to get down in the barren high-altitude desert of Spiti, near the village eventually of Mat, from where we come back again through the other side of the Pin River to cross over to the Pin Baba, which gets us in again a beautiful green setting of Kinnaur, to finally get down here in this beautiful green valley to the Shuttle Valley near a bit north of Rampur. Okay, So here everything visualized, the lower part, that I mean the entire section is visualized on a Google terrain map. So you can see the pin basically drains a lot of these ranges here on the Pin National Park, all high ranges, big glaciers, so a lot of water flowing through this entire Parvati Valley, which joins the Kulu Valley over here. Okay, so here are the passes we'll be crossing. So 3 smaller passes at an altitude of 3.6, 3.2, and 4.1. Star Pass is quite solid. But then the big ones are the Pin Parvati at 5.3 and the Pin Baba at 4.8. You can see it, the climb to Pin is quite significant. Pin Baba is much less because you're already at a high altitude of the Spiti Desert. Okay, so let's first start with the first 3 low altitude passes, the Chandrakhani, the Russell Pass, and the Sar Pass. Here, as we climb up from Kulu through one of the villages, we can see again the apple charts 2018 in August in full bloom. The ideal food ration to carry along on a trek, 5 apples of this, and your stomach will be okay for the whole day. Initially, we start through some beautiful heritage here at the village of Rumsu, above a little bit on east, high up from the Peace River. So you can find these ancient temples and houses, beautiful woodwork, really older kind of settlements. So from there, we get into beautiful forest, climbing up towards the Chandrakhani Pass. When it rains in Kulu in these trails, you find a lot of these snails in those shady, wet, rainy forests. Then, given the fact that it's quite touristic, Chandrakhani, you'll find here some permanent campsites along the way, which are used by the commercial hiking parties. Trail is very clear, no issues on the route, so I don't think you really need to pay anyone to get you across this pass. Here we can see again on open street maps, well documented, given the fact that the Kulu, Manali, Parvati side are quite touristic. So we're basically crossing over here from a lush green forest side valley of Kulu over this ridge. It's more like a ridge than a pass, Chandrakhani. Then we follow the ridge for a while and get steep down towards the village of Malana. Village with a special history, still quite steep above the underlying valley, actually, from where we have to get down. Here you can see top views on the Parvati Valley after crossing the Chandrakhani Pass, and full of weeds on the upper ranges, which is a major attraction here for tourists also. Here you can see the village of Malana, where people believe to be descendants of the great Alexander the Great. I mean, at least the soldiers of his army. And they don't want to touch any outsiders. So there's no physical contact allowed here. Even when you go to the shop, they just put the stuff on the food, you drop the money on the floor, and you pick it up again. It's like a kind of a pre-corona experience. Voila, from Malana, as I said, it's still a steep downhill into the actually deeply cut Malana River below. Before we cross over, then beautiful steep valley slopes here with waterfalls coming down on the way up to the Russell Pass. Lush green forest as we're on pretty low altitudes. On the way, we can see some remote settlements and farmers basically collecting grasses for their cattle. Here you see then the Russell Pass, like not very frequented pass, not easy to find. It's a bit tricky to get the right path up there. It's also not really a pass, it's more like a traverse along an ever increasing ridge, so which gets you again to a bit confusing paths down to the village of Russell. The views, however, are stunning. Here you get direct views on top of the Parvati Valley below. You walk through like 2-3 meter high wheat plantations. Initially, you come, before you hit the main town of Russell, you come into these ancient settlements again, people living on those steep slopes, beautiful old buildings. This is, as usual, the transportation. They are using diesel-powered steel cables and cable cars to transport goods. stones, whatever, cements to the village, bricks, and then bringing back produce like apples or milk to the valley, where near the motorable road it can be transported to the main valleys. Here we then finally come in the touristic village of Kasol along the mighty Parvati stream. Beautiful valleys on the slopes above through which we came down. Here we're pitching up tent on one of the many guest houses in this valley. Then from there, on the opposite side, after crossing the Parvati River through a bridge, we walk up through a beautiful lush green forest, through a fairly steep path, to the Sar Pass, initially coming across the remote hamlet again of Graham. You can see the weather here was a little rainy, but I think overall there's always a bit of a foggy, misty cover here, which provides the perfect conductive settlement for wheat. Beautiful old-style, natural constructed homes here, except for the dish TV antennas. You can see the lady here still making her own clothes with loom. This is a loom not for the village, but every house has their own loom actually. Let's take a look how the process goes.
It's some ingenious system. Many of the houses in Himachal Pradesh have a weaving tool and make their own clothes. This lady is doing beautiful handwork. Both the hands and the feet are used in this process.
Okay, then top of the Sar Pass, you're in heaven. Stunning views on the Parvati Parvat, the high ranges on the northern side of the Parvati Valley, which eventually then on the other side you get into Lahore and Spiti. Stunning views here at the end of the day, just in time to pitch up our tents and get through a pretty cold night, of course, being exposed at that altitude. Here you can see again the trail clearly marked on the climbing up here from the valley, clearly marked. The Sar Pass is more like, again, a ridge crossing, not really like a real pass, like a cell between two high ranges, neighboring valleys. And from there you contour and cross another particular landmark, the Bikeri Slide, before you get down very steeply into the Parvati Valley again. Here you can see the sunsets of this cloud-filled Parvati Valley, and then beyond you're looking at Kulu, and on the right side towards Lahore eventually. Let's take a quick video view of the same.
We are around the base of the Sar Pass and looking at the Pin Parvati Valley below, getting splendid views with the evening sun. A lot of peaks visible on the opposite side. So silent and peaceful in this place.
ರಾತ್ರಿ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡ. ನಾಳೆ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಡ, ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಓಕೆ?
Right above the Pin Parvati Valley there. The right side we can see the beautiful Taj, start of the Taj Valley.
Voila, so then here along this ridge, which we saw on OpenStreetMaps, we climb up further along the ridge towards an altitude of around 4,100 meters. You can see shepherds over there grazing their herds. Stunning views also in the morning before the weather eventually turned bad to rains later. Here the Bikeri Slide, so here you cross another second equally high ridge before getting down again into the Parvati Valley here near the small, kind of ancient settlement of Pulga, which is now like heavily converted into homestays. A lot of Israelis stay here, and the people have, in addition to their traditional farming living style, a major revenue, no doubt, comes from all the tourism going through these places. So the next thing is then the Pin Parvati Valley, here documented on some of the old maps. So from basically Here's Manikaran or Pulga a little bit further. We get into the side valley, away from the Tosh Valley, along the Parvati River, going to the hot springs of Kirganga, and which is the last kind of settlement before we head into various meadows here to cross the Pin Parvati Pass a little bit later into the high altitude desert of Spiti. Here it's shown in detail on the Google Earth map. So from Kirganga, you flow pretty flat, a long traverse, almost one-day walk from Kirganga to the base of the Pin Parvati, from where you can pitch up camp and then cross the next day into Mud Village in Spiti. This is the Pin Valley, Pin, which joins the Spiti Valley a little bit further near Dankar, which we covered in the Spiti Traverse. From the same village of Mud, crossing a bridge to the other side of the Pin River, we cross the Pin Baba, which is a much easier pass, I would say, and then get down steeply into the beautiful green meadows of the Baba River Valley to finally end up at Kafnu village, high above the Shuttle River Valley. Here you can see the wonderful hot springs of Kirganga, high above the valley of the Parvati Valley. Wonderful to sit here in the open while it's cold outside. It's extremely warm, hot inside. Stunning views on the valley. As you walk almost a day on the Parvati Valley, you come along the final kind of landmark here, Mantalai, a big lake with a temple, from where you then start climbing up on the left side of the valley to the Pin Parvati Vas. So here you see the section of the Pin Parvati. So you initially climb over one ridge and then contour a bit over the glacier and take a sharp left over the Pin Parvati Pass to get into the Pin River Valley. You can see some some ice lakes here at the base of the Moraines below the glaciers below the pass. Here you can see some beautiful view from the top of the pass on the glacier below. In September 2018, after fresh snow had actually covered the ice, you can see some parts which the ice has fallen down into crevasses. Here then the pass. On the left side of the glacier, you cross over using this well-marked cairns and Buddhist flags into the Pin Valley. Let's take a walk near the pass.
Fresh snow on the Pin Parvati glacier. A bit more challenging to walk up. Especially at this altitude, snow takes a bigger effort. Pin Parvati is up there. We're almost at the end of the glacier. And all around us, a thick layer of snow on top of the glacier. Behind that, Pin Parvati Valley, from where we took a left diversion.
All right. So this was already in 2018, end of the summer, kind of August, where it already started snowing. So short summer during that year, before again heavy winterfall, the last winter of 2019. Then, as I said, from lush green Parvati, we end up in a high altitude desert, barren landscape again, like totally different worlds connected by this pass to the remote village of Mud along the Pin River. Here you can see a close-up of this village. So totally big contrast, stark contrast, this landscape from the lush green Parvati Valley. So then as we cross the stream and walk again upstream, almost 20 kilometers in common where we came from, we come across even some shepherds in this kind of desolate landscape. Here a couple of mule owners from the village of Mud carrying supplies, hiking materials and food, or a couple of hikers who were crossing over the Pin Baba from the Kinor side, crossing a wild stream here below the Pin Baba glacier. This is the Pin Baba traverse, so you can see a glacier on the other side. Sorry, I think this is the Pin side, yeah. So on the Pin side on the left, you see a big glacier, and then you come down through Moraines into the Baba river valley. Here you see a camp, my tent pitched up at the base, very cold that night, of the Pin Baba Pass there on the right side, with a big glacier hanging on the left, trying to get out of the cold wind here by using one of those rock shelters. This is then the mules, the same mules, getting up close to the pass. This is the pass actually at the base of this glacier. And then finally, when getting down again, you step between two different worlds. From a barren rock desert, you get back in a beautiful lush green Baba Valley, which eventually joins the Shuttle River Valley. Voila, as you get further down the Baba Valley, it becomes beautiful forest. Then here, given the rains again, a lot of current in the stream, dark stream water as it takes soil along on its traverse. Voila, that was the session on the Parvati Valley, crossing into two different worlds of Spiti and Kinnaur. This is the last section of the Himalayan webinars. I hope you enjoyed this 24 sessions documenting various aspects of hiking in the high passes, followed by highlighting some 14 different beautiful regions of the Himalayas. Those interested can join the next webinar series on the Sahyadri's 15 webinars on 200 ancient forts of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in the mesmerizing Sahyadris. See you guys in the Sahyadris next